How's it going, everyone? Want to go over a PlayStation Store title being removed forever? I usually like to give a heads up on these before they get pulled, but we really didn't have notice of this, so I'll talk about that. Looks like Metal Gear Solid 1 might be getting a remake. I know we still have to wait for Delta Snake Eater to come out, but you probably understand why Delta Snake Eater is getting remade first, at least most of you that have played the MGS titles, but we'll talk about that. The idea of an MGS1 remake is incredibly exciting, so again, we'll talk about that. And not a bit of an update on Helldivers 2, but Arrowhead Game Studios did put out a tweet just saying Happy New Year with a little bit of gameplay. Helldivers 2 is one of those unfortunate games coming out in February that I just feel like is really gonna get lost in the shuffle, and it's unfortunate because I loved Helldivers 1, and this one looks to be, you know, a bigger budget version of it, but still chaotic as all hell gameplay. But we'll talk about that at the end of this video. I'm gonna try to do what I can to, you know, signal boost that game a little bit since I think it deserves it. I am happy about the fact that it's seeing a simultaneous release on PC and PlayStation. I think that'll actually help the game quite a bit. Now, before we get into this video, I just want to ask you guys, please like this video and do leave a comment with your thoughts. It really does help out the channel a lot, and it is much appreciated. But first of all, Gran Turismo Sport has been delisted from the PlayStation Store forever. It is gone. Now, initially, they had announced that the game would be getting shut down, but they didn't say anything about the game actually being delisted from the PlayStation Store. They note after the end of service date, which is January 31st, so it's not even the end of service date yet, it will no longer be possible for you to utilize online services such as Community, Open Lobby, and Sport Mode, nor online features. The offline portions of the game can still be played, including purchased add-on. We would like to thank many of the users of Gran Turismo Sport online services since its first launch in 2017. From here on, we will continue to further improve the online services for the currently available title Gran Turismo 7 on PS4 and PS5. They also go over a lot of notes as far as FAQ. Yeah, most people have moved on to GT7, but it would always be nice, obviously, for these games to maintain their service, but what can you do? This is a reality of gaming as a whole. Now, with a game like Gran Turismo, as far as a game getting delisted from the PlayStation Store, there are also issues with things like licensing agreements and whatnot. That's always going to be an issue with a racing game, and that has been the case with a lot of the Forza Horizon games. Like, I believe every Forza Horizon game up to Forza Horizon 3 has been delisted, and then you can buy Forza Horizon 4 and 5 still. It might be 1 and 2 as far as Horizon goes, but a bunch of those titles have been delisted as well when you do have these licensing agreements with different car manufacturers and whatnot. Those do eventually expire, and why renew those licenses for a game that, you know, isn't selling as much as it used to, and there's really not a lot of purpose financially to do that outside of just keeping the game on the storefront. But nevertheless, GT Sport, the latest in a long line of titles that have been pulled forever. Now, Gran Turismo Sport is one of those games that is available physically. I don't know if this is going to cause the price point of the game to shoot up physically. I highly doubt it. Like, this isn't a game that I feel like, you know, is going to appreciate in value all too much. But what do I know? Crazier things have happened. This goes in line with titles such as Marvel's Avengers recently getting pulled as well. So, quite a lot of major titles recently getting pulled. There have obviously been some smaller titles that we've gone over that are getting pulled. There was another title that was pulled not too long ago, and I'll try to be up to date when it comes to this kind of stuff. Really just kind of creeps up on you because they are lower key titles. I know some of you guys like to have your complete digital libraries, but we try to cover a lot on this channel, and sometimes these dates, as far as games getting pulled, just creep up on us out of nowhere. And in the case of GT Sport, we knew that service was ending on January 31st. I didn't know that the game was actually going to get pulled, and it's not even January 31st yet. From what I know, they had never said that they were going to be pulling the game itself. What they actually specifically noted prior to this, on December the 1st, we will also end the distribution of purchasable add-on items from the PlayStation Store that can be used in-game. They never said anything about the actual purchasing of the game itself, so as far as what I know, maybe I missed a tweet or something like that. But nevertheless, GT Sport has been pulled and, yeah, no longer viable on the PlayStation Store. Moving on from that, a new report is suggesting that Konami is remaking the original Metal Gear Solid. It is in early production with Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater being the current priority, which makes all the sense in the world. You're not going to concurrently develop probably 2 remakes. This one's going to be in early production, the MGS1 Remake. You want to get Delta Snake Eater out first and hopefully that is a fall 2024 release. I don't know that to be the case. I could easily see fall of this year, early 2025 probably being more likely, but Delta Snake Eater chronologically is the first title. So if you want to go with Snake Eater, that does make a lot of sense to remake that. And Metal Gear Solid, however, is entirely due for a remake. Look, we can talk about how iconic and how revolutionary of a game Metal Gear Solid is. Go back and play that game. The Master Collection is out now. MGS, you know, if you don't have an immense nostalgic attachment towards it, can you still enjoy the game? Absolutely. But it's a game, imagine a full-on remake for MGS1. That would be remarkable, and it would introduce the franchise to a larger audience. And I assume that Delta Snake Eater is going to introduce the franchise to a larger audience as well, but going with MGS1 getting a full-on remake, that's going to be exciting to a new audience as well as an existing audience. And while I like the Master Collection, obviously it was kind of thrown together and kind of is probably putting it a little bit lightly as far as the thrown togetherness, I guess you would say, of the Master Collection. It's got its fair share of issues, let's be honest here with the Master Collection. Now, credit to Konami, they have been updating it quite a bit, so take that for what you will, but yeah, it probably shouldn't have launched with all the issues that it did, but you can find it relatively cheap right now. You can get it for like $35, $40, and at that price point, it's okay. And the original Snake Eater, MGS2, there's still decent games to go through, and just having those games preserved on modern platforms is great. But you wish Konami would do a little bit more. Now, with Delta Snake Eater, I do assume, obviously, that's going to have a lot more emphasis being put towards it, given that it's a ground-up remake, and if the MGS1 remake does come to fruition, well, obviously, a lot more emphasis is going to be put towards recreating that game. At least you would hope. I'm sure, you know, Konami gonna Konami in some instances, but the prospect of an MGS1 remake is incredibly exciting to me. Lastly, I want to give Helldivers 2 some shine. Arrowhead Game Studios did put out a tweet. We heard snowball fights are great for boosting Helldiver morale, wishing you an explosively happy new year, and they attach about, 15 seconds of gameplay, and it kind of ends pretty nicely, showing off a lot of the explosions and particle effects that the game is going to have, and that was one of the key elements of Helldivers 1. I just wanted to talk about this just because I talk a lot about Q1 2024, one of the craziest seasons and quarters in gaming history. I am really comfortable saying that, and guess what? You're gonna have to hear me reiterate that point over and over and over again, because if you cannot appreciate the stacked lineup of games that is coming out in 2024, at least Q1, either you hate Japanese and weeb games, or you just hate video games, because this is a stacked roster and lineup of games, and even outside of the weeb games, you've got titles like a Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, you've got titles like a Helldivers 2 that I'm incredibly excited for, but it's coming out on February the 8th, a week after the release of Granblue Fantasy Relink and Persona 3R, a couple weeks ahead of the release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You got Skull and Bones in the mix as well. I know people are gonna meme on that game to the ends of the earth, but there's a lot of competition, and Helldivers 1 wasn't a game that was, it was a game that people enjoyed, but let's be real, it wasn't this game that everybody played. It was a really enjoyable co-op title, and I assume Helldivers 2 is going to be a lot of that as well, but I'm just a little worried as far as the release timing for the game. Now, it is priced relatively well at $39.99. There is a Super Citizen Edition at $59.99, so, $40 for the game. It is a game that you definitely want to get some friends to pick up as well, and that's how you're going to have the best time imaginable, so it will be interesting to see how all of that turns out. But Helldivers 2 scheduled for a release on February the 8th, and hoping it turns out well, and hoping it gets a little bit of shine, because I'm gonna be super busy. Look, Like a Dragon Infinite, well, Tekken 8, Granblue Fantasy Relink, and Persona 3R, those 4 games in the span of, 2 weeks is really going to eat away at a lot of people's times, and I know for me, Helldivers 2 is going to be a difficult game to get into that mix, but hoping, people do give it at least a little bit of attention throughout the year, even if its release timing isn't the best. But that's going to do it for me. Again, GT Sport has been delisted forever from the PlayStation Store. Unfortunate as far as that goes. Metal Gear Solid 1 potentially getting a remake for PlayStation 5, and Arrowhead Game Studios wishes you a happy new year. Do them a solid. Keep Helldivers 2 on your radar, even if you don't pick it up on February 8th. I totally understand there's a lot of games coming out. Keep it on the wish list. Maybe down the line, summer sale, winter sale, holiday sale, whatever. In 2024, yes, I know we're looking ahead a lot, but keep it on the radar and pick it up maybe sometime down the line at a discount. But that's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.